Hey YouTube, Pheano here with Perfecting Blackwings 36 Part 2. I'm going to continue today talking about all the Blackwing cards that, well, are out. Let's start off with Elphin the Raven. Not that great of a card in standard Blackwings since they don't really have the ability to summon him regularly. Usually if you can summon him, you're basically normal summoning Blackwing, waiting a turn, and then summoning him. And then even if you are doing that, it really doesn't really add all that much to whatever you're doing. You're just throwing out a beat stick, and it really doesn't do a whole lot. It's just a random 2200, and Blackwings don't really need that all much in standard Blackwings. It is decent though in Vayu Turbo, since you can use Dark Reference effect to send him and Vayu to the grave, and then banish both of them to special summon an Armor Master from your extra deck. And also in Vayu Turbo, it's pretty easy to summon him. He's not as dead in your hand as he would in standard Blackwings, since you can, as I said before, use Vayu to special summon a Blackwing, and then use his own effect to normal summon him along with the Blackwing that you just special summoned. So he's decent in Vayu Turbo, but not all that great in standard. I'd probably play one of him in Turbo. Next up is Estain of the Two Swords. A pretty awful card in my opinion, since all he does at best is burn you for 1,000 life points. And as I've mentioned before, life points don't really matter. You only need one to win, and pretty much damage doesn't really matter unless it's for game. So, that being said, he's not all that good. There's no really reason to play him over something like Kalut or just general removal. You really want to stop the monster that's opposing you outright versus just randomly burning them for 1,000. That really doesn't do a whole lot to the game state. So, all in all, use removal over him. He's not all that great. And also, on top of that, Blackwings really don't have that much of a problem dealing with monsters outright, since they are pretty beefy. Next up is Fane the Steel Chain. An interesting card. Not all that great in standard Blackwings or Vayu Turbo, but he's okay in his own right in a deck built around him, which is a deck based around spamming him and Sirocco, and then pumping him to deal lots of damage. And usually you can two-hit kill them by, say, I don't know, going Sirocco and Bora and him. And unfortunately, he doesn't have a way to special summon himself, so you have to kind of work around that, but you get the gist, those. Direct attack for a bunch of damage and try to kill them in a hit or two. He's okay in that kind of deck, not that great in anything else, though. Next up is Gale the Whirlwind, probably one of the best Blackwings of all. Just embodies Blackwings perfectly. Speed and aggression, and it's a tuner. It just opens up so many plays in the deck. You can it lets you get over so much, since it's basically a 2600 in the aspect that it can have any of your opponent's monsters. So say their 2600 gets halved, now it's 13, which is his attack. You get what I'm saying. And it just adds a lot of power to the deck, since you can really make these aggressive, fast plays like, say, Black Whirlwind, normal summon Shura, search Gale, special summon Gale, half their monster, run it over with Shura, special summon Vayu, synchro the Gale and the Shura for an Armor Master, synchro the Armor Master and the Vayu for a Stardust, and then remove from play the Vayu and the Armor Master for a Silverwind. Or you can do something like normal summon Sirocco, special summon Bora, special summon Gale, half their monster, pump Bora, synchro Gale and Sirocco for a Stardust Dragon, and then if you have it, monster born your Sirocco and pump your Bora again. It just adds so many plays to the deck, just so many combo-y, unfair plays. And in its own right, it is just an amazing card. Just drawing it in itself is spectacular, just getting rid of big threats. Next up is Ghibli the Searing Wind. It's basically a Gores for Blackwings, except for not all that great, since its effect isn't all that relevant, since its stats aren't that great. All it really is getting a body out there for you to synchro with, which is something that Blackwings have an abundance of. They really have no need for an extra body to synchro with, since you have so many monsters that can special summon themselves, such as Bora and Zephyros and Gale. It's really not all that necessary in the deck. The only thing it really adds is an extra target for your Black Whirlwind, say if you're normal summoning your Blizzard, since your only target under Blizzard would be your Vayu in standard Blackwings, and usually you're only playing one Vayu and you don't want to search that all the time, since you want to get that out with your Shura. It really varies depending on the game state. Sometimes you want to search the value so you can discard it with Boronic or something to that extent, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. And next up is Gust the Backblast, another card that is just another body for you to synchro with. It's basically a Cyber Dragon for Blackwings. Again, not that great stats, not that great of effect, and as I said before, Blackwings have an abundance of bodies to synchro with. Not much else to say there. Next up is Elphin the Tengu Wind. Unfortunately, he is not as great as Reborn Tengu, but what you gonna do? Beggars can't be choosers, right? He's not all that great in standard Blackwings. As I mentioned before with Elphin, he's a really big Blackwing that's just very hard to summon in standard Blackwings, so it just kind of sits in your hand and is a dead card. And in Value Turbo, he's not that great because while you can use him, you can get him into the grave easily. Value Turbo doesn't play that many low-level Blackwings. Usually your only target in standard Value Turbo decks would be Value, which you really don't want to special summon with this. Next up would be Jetstream the Blue Sky, kind of like a nerfed Kalut. It gives you like a one-turn Armor Master-like effect. Not all that great. It doesn't actually get you any advantage. You're basically discarding this to save a card, so you're basically just switching which card you're losing. So similarly to Elphin the Two Swords, it's just one of those things that you're better off just playing regular removal over this. And then next up would be Jin the Rain Shadow, and actually a card that's been seeing a lot more attention as of late. People have been using him over Value recently since it's a better card in your hand when you draw it. Unfortunately, he's not as good as Value in the aspect that he really doesn't do a whole lot for you after you synchro with him, whereas Value gets you +1s with its ability to, special summon synchros. This is an okay card. Yes, there are cards that it can hit with that, with those kinds of stats, but a lot of those kinds of cards aren't really seeing too much play right now, or just won't be in defense, like say Tengu or something like that. And people just aren't setting as much as they used to be since it's a very fast format, so its viability in this format is diminished by the speed of it. So it's an okay card. I personally wouldn't play it over Value, but it's okay in its own right. If I was going to play two tuners for Shura, in the level 1 area, I would definitely do one of these with my Value, because double Value would be a dead draw. Next up, as I've mentioned before, would be Kalut. An amazing card just like Gale. It adds so much aggression to the deck, and it lets you get over cards you normally wouldn't, since problem that Blackwings can have is even bigger monsters than yours, which doesn't happen all the time, but it does. Since Blackwings, one of their main forms of removal would be Battle Phase and Icarus Attack, and if they're only playing one monster that's really big, you can have a hard time dealing with that, and Kalut lets you deal with that. And it also lets you dominate the Battle Phase far more, since your opponent can't just herp-derp kill you by getting rid of all your back rows. They still have to worry about your Kalut, so you can protect yourself. That was one of the key cards back in formats where Cold Wave was around. They had Cold Wave or Giant Trunade, and you'd still be fine because you had Kalut. A very good card. I really hope this is semi-limited or unlimited very soon, because Blackwings really need this card back. And finally, Koichi the Daybreak. An interesting card again. It's unfortunate that its effect is a condition, not an effect, because that means that Skill Drain and Shura do not negate it, so you cannot synchro with it if you special summon it, regardless of how you're doing it. So it doesn't really matter. If you summon it with a Shura, it doesn't get negated by that, so you're kind of at a loss there. At least you can exceed with it by getting something like Steelstorm Roach or Utopia, which is a half-decent play. But in general, I'd rather have a Value over this, just because it gives you more late-game plays. And honestly, I think level 5 synchros are better than most rank 4s right now. At least rank 4s that you would be playing in Blackwings. Obviously, say the Evil Azars are better, but you can't really play those in Blackwings, now can ya? So that's the end of part 1, or part 2 rather, sorry about that. I'm going to be bringing a part 3 and a part 4 soon when I get a chance. Make sure you guys check out my blog, since I'm doing written forms of my videos on here. Hit me up on Facebook and Twitter, and check out my eBay store. Peace, YouTube.